Hi, welcome back to Focal Point on AFR Talk. Great to have you in the conversation with us. Read a little bit this morning about Wernher von Braun. He was the father of the American space program. He was, without doubt, the greatest rocket scientist in history. He was responsible for developing I believe it was the Saturn V booster rocket that made space travel possible. So this guy is a scientist. He was the founder of the National Space Institute. He received the National Medal of Science in 1975. He helped the United States launch its first satellite in 1958. So this guy is a scientist non-pareil. He's in a class virtually by himself, literally a rocket scientist. Now, I want to read some quotes from Wernher von Braun for you. And the point of me reading these quotes to you is you're going to be told, you're going to hear this all the time. These nattering nabobs of negativism in the media will tell us all the time that all scientists agree that everything evolved. There is no God. There is no creator. There is a consensus. All the smart kids in the class, all the cool kids believe this. It's really only the mentally challenged among us who still believe in creation don't believe that everything happened by chance. That's what they want you to believe. That's the meme that's out there. But here is one of the leading scientists of the 21st century, and here's what he had to say. And and the point of this is to be a follower of Jesus Christ. You do not have to check your brain at the door. In fact, I would suggest it's the people who deny the overwhelming evidence for intelligent design in the universe. They are the ones that are checking their brains at the door. They are so mindlessly committed to this secularist and godless approach to explaining the universe that they can't see the evidence when it's right in front of them. So here is what Wernher von Braun said. One cannot be exposed to the law and order of the universe without concluding that there must be design and purpose behind it all. The better we understand the intricacies of the universe and all it harbors, the more reason we have found to marvel at the inherent design upon which it is based. To be forced to believe only one conclusion, that everything in the universe happened by chance, would violate the very objectivity of science itself. I just want to pause here and just make this point. You know, what Wernher von Braun is saying is the people who are violating scientific standards, who are violating the objectivity of the scientific process, which is a commitment to follow the evidence wherever it leads, are the people who are so committed to the ideological belief that everything in the universe happened by chance that they will not consider another alternative. And so von Braun says, look, this is fundamentally, profoundly unscientific. This is not how science works. We don't force people to believe only one conclusion. We look at the evidence and we follow it wherever it leads. And here he said, here are some of the problems, he said, with the theory of evolution that everything happened by chance. What random process could produce the brains of a man or the system of the human eye? And again, breaking away from the column just for a second, you know, even Darwin said, look, the eye is a huge problem for me. Because the eye is an incredibly complex organ. And he says, in my way of explaining how all of life developed, I would have to believe that the eye evolved at 5 separate different places in the development of life on Earth. 5 separate times, 5 independent, completely different places, the eye had to evolve. And he basically said, look, for that to happen even one time is, it's a miracle that's beyond our ability to comprehend, let alone having that happen 5 times. So even Darwin said, look, this is a huge problem. Here we are, Wernher von Braun, 120 years after Darwin, said, we got the same problem. How do you explain the development of the human eye? talking here about Darwinians. They challenge science to prove the existence of God, but must we really light a candle to see the sun? They say they cannot visualize a designer. Well, can a physicist visualize an electron? What strange rationale makes some physicists accept the inconceivable electron as real while refusing to accept the reality of a designer on the ground that they cannot conceive him? It is difficult for me, and he's speaking here as a scientist, as the greatest rocket scientist in the history of mankind, it is difficult for me to understand a scientist who does not acknowledge the presence of a superior rationality behind the existence of the universe. Viewing the awesome reaches of space should only confirm our belief in the certainty of its creator. So my point here, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to be embarrassed about believing in a creator, believing in creation, believing in Genesis 1 and Genesis 1:1. Don't be embarrassed by that. Don't be apologetic about that. Be proud of that. Be bold. Be courageous. Be strong. Don't hesitate to affirm that wherever it comes up. You know, when my son was in advanced placement biology, brought home a textbook, AP biology, that had a long sections in it about evolution. And so I was curious about how the biology teacher was going to handle the section on evolution. So I went and talked to her and said I was looking at my son's AP biology textbook and just kind of curious how you're going to approach the subject of evolution. And she said, you know, I'm not even going to touch it. And I asked JD to confirm this over the course of the year. She said, we didn't even talk about it at all. And I asked her, why? Why are you not going to touch it? She says, because I have so many students and so many parents who tell me that they believe in creation science. They believe in a creator. They believe in a biblical view of origins. And so every time I would get to that segment in the textbook, we just got tied up in debate and discussion, chewed up enormous amounts of class time. And she said, look, I just don't have the time for it because too many people remain convinced that there is a creator. So, I mean, that's just an indication of the kind of difference that we can make in our environment just by sticking up for the truth and standing up for the truth. So be a proud defender and supporter of Genesis 1. And Rob, if we can shift gears here one more time.